How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews, back with new brewery time up in this piece in the form of Old Thunder Brewing Company. It is their Midnight Blue. Yeah, this be a 7% porter. It says an American porter brewed with the finest golden promise and layered with European chocolate and caramel malts. It's dark, rich, and comforting. Yeah. Pittsburgh, PA comes courtesy of my boy Dan from Pittsburgh. And this would be the first beer I am cracking out of the box of beers that he sent me. So you're talking about a 7% porter, so you're kind of getting an imperial porter range. So we'll see how the sucker plays. Let's pour the whole thing in there. I got this fatty snifter. Could hold this beer quite easily. There's no date on this can, so I don't know the age on it. Label-wise, it's all right. It's basically their logo with a little bit of a graphic-y background. He sent me 2 beers from these guys, and it's pretty much the same label, just a little bit different coloration and verbiage on it. And as far as that goes, I mean, it looks all the part of a porter, but a very rich dark porter. Imperial porter, Baltic porter. Kind of getting in stout range there because they got that rich kind of chocolatey head on it. Dark is dark could be body. So it's kind of eking around that kind of imperial range as opposed to kind of an old school porter. Nose? I mean, there's a decent amount of a nice chocolate in there, like a little bit of kind of a soft vanilla chocolate kind of back and forth. A little bit of soft roast, nothing too big. It's mostly chocolate leaning. And it doesn't smell like it's going to be overly sweet, but there's going to be a nice richness to it. That's pretty much it. Gigantic head here. Probably can't get a huge nose on it, but it smells like a nice, rich, chocolate-leaning kind of porter. Let's dive in. Cheers. It's really well made. Like, really well made. I'm actually drinking this straight out of the box that he sent me. So it's probably a little bit warmer than when I would typically drink this beer at. So this is probably closer to 55 as opposed to 48, which is like where I like to start my kind of darker beers. So we're a little bit further along in the process as far as my typical kind of progression with these beers. Because I like them to start off at 48, drink them till they get to the mid to high 50s. I don't mind that. The most impressive thing about this beer is the mouthfeel in combination with the way the chocolate comes off without being overly bittering and the lack of that kind of metallic astringency I get from darker beer, especially when you get to this lower-ish ABV level of 7.65%. I think that's a testament to how well made the beer is because I'm just super susceptible to the metallicness that comes with these beers if they're not kind of pinpoint well done, and this lacks any of that. And I think it rears its head quite a bit more when the beer is warmer, so it's even more impressive that the beer is as well made as it is. There's a nice chocolate component with this little dollop of vanilla. I know there's no vanilla added in that, but I confuse chocolate with vanilla sometimes, so it could be just my poopy palate, but it really does come off. It's like a more non-lagered version of like a Baltic porter. That's kind of how it comes off for me. So it lacks that like snappy cleanliness to it, but it's still really clean and really well made, but just has this extra little bit of richness to it. Kind of like, Baltic porters that are lagered tend to be a little bit quicker, a little bit snappier at the end. This is a little bit thicker, a little bit more robust. Kind of bad analogies, I won't say them. But I like this quite a bit. I mean, I can get on my high horse and bitch about ABV here. I want this at 5% instead of 7, but I'm not, because I like this. Really tasty. Really well done. Like, that's probably my biggest takeaway, and I think a lot of times when I use that phrase, really well done, really well constructed, really well made, some people might take that as kind of like a slight or a knock, because I think that maybe I'm looking for a positive adjective, and I can't find it. That's not the case. Like, I think that's one of the best compliments you can give a beer is that it's infinitely well made. It's impactful. It's rich. It's giving me what I want from a porter. But it's also got a combination of not having any of the metallic bits and pieces that tend to crop up in even beers that are usually well made, but just not pristinely well made. And that's not the case here. This is giving me zero of that. So it drinks really well, really tasty. I don't know what else you want me to say. I really dig this. I think it's really fun. Is it otherworldly? Is it going to reclassify or make me rethink my internal grading level of what porters can be? No. I mean, that happens a couple times in a lifetime, I think, when it comes to beers. But it's tasty nonetheless, and I'm kind of excited to dive into the other beer I got from these guys. Thank you very much, Dan, for sending this off. So let's talk about it. This is one of the better porters I've had as late. Even with that being said, yes, and close to Mount Rushmore status, especially being a Core 4 Imperial Porter. I don't think you can understate how well it's made, because you're talking about a style that typically doesn't wow a lot of people. Can for me, but I think this is some of the better ones I've had. So that in of itself is pretty fantastic. Value to availability, no idea. Dan, let us know what's what and leave you with if you like what we like this beer. If you like really well done, classically made styled beers, you like porters, you like dark malt forward beers, you like imperial stouts, but you want something a little bit more drinkable and not as showy, this is going to do you. So there you go. Review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massif if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of porter right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.